What's going on, guys? It's Tetrosphere. We're going to go ahead and jump right on into another round from the GalaxyBusterTCG case tournament that was held over the past weekend. We do have, once again, Blake with his Odion Fiendsmith strategy on the left, playing against some kind of Primite deck. Could be Blue Eyes once again. It looks like it is. I see that Maiden. So, 2 matches in a row of Odion versus Blue Eyes. Looks like I was just adjusting the camera there. We do have barrel set Lordly Load activate to add another barrel. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and activate Wishes, pitch Drill Beam. Interesting. This is going to add Sage and Roar. Okay. Drill Beam, of course, is going to be able to set itself because we control Ether Barrel, which we can then immediately link that off into the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, searching Mausoleum of White. No interaction yet on the side of Blake, which of course means that we don't have Joel and Lockbird. We are going to go ahead and activate the Mausoleum. Now we have another normal summon, but first we're going to activate the effect targeting Spirit with Eyes of Blue to send Blue Eyes White Dragon from deck to grave. And now Spirit is going to tribute for cost to activate its effect to special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard. Here we use our extra normal to normal summon Sage with Eyes of Blue, which will search a level 1 Light Tuner in the form of Maiden of White. This, of course, can be pitched to activate, or rather place, True Light directly from the deck. At this point, I do believe we are looking at a Synchro 9 or perhaps a Link 2. True Light, looks like we do go with the Spirit. True Light can then, of course, revive the Blue Eyes from grave, which will trigger Maiden to revive from grave, and we have access to yet another Synchro 9. It does seem like, however, instead we are choosing to use True Light to set Majesty, and I'm guessing we're going to use Lordly Load to summon another Blue Eyes in order to trigger the Maiden. Or maybe we're just not going to do that. Maybe we're going to, we're going to play a little more reserved. Okay, so we have Spirit, we have Drill Beam set. I do believe there is another barrel in hand, so Drill Beam should be live. We do top deck the Imperm, which we're going to go ahead and first action hit that Spirit. This is going to prompt the effect to trigger for cost to float into the ultimate alternative dragon, which is simply a field effect negate. So despite that Imperm, we are still looking at a negate in the form of ultimate and a gate in the form of Drill Beam. Likely a non-target destroy 2 cards on the field in the form of Majesty. Not to mention any of those 3 cards in hand could be a hand trap. We are going to go ahead and start off with Tracked as far as getting our engine going. And we can assume, of course, Lurie is going to hit the field on resolution of this. We will link Lurie off into Requiem, and then in priority, Requiem will go ahead and tribute to summon. We're going to chain True Light to summon Blue Eyes from grave. We're going to go ahead and summon Engraver with the effect of Requiem, and now Maiden is going to trigger to summon herself. Okay. Requiem is going to try to equip to Engraver. And we're not going to use the Send effect here. We are going to go ahead and Contact Fuse into Necroequip Princess, because we have Anubis the Last Judge in hand, which we can pitch to search, and then on a new chain, of course, Necroequip will trigger to draw a card. And we let all of that go through. So we have Man with the Mark. It looks like we top deck Temple of the Kings. Not bad. Lurie is going to get shuffled back by the effective Engraver to bring itself back from the grave. And now we have a rank 6 or a link 2 play online. We could go into Caesar or Desiree. Desiree would be an appropriate response to the Neo Ultimate. However, either is vulnerable to the Majesty trap that we know is set. But it looks like we're not springing that trap just yet. We do allow the summon of Engraver to resolve. And Blake is looking through that extra deck, considering whether his move should be to go for Caesar or Sequence. So I'm seeing Man with the Mark, I'm seeing Temple of the Kings, I'm seeing 2 Apophis traps, and I can't quite make out the 5th card in hand. Oh, it is Lacrima. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Man with the Mark. Of course, on summon it will attempt to add, and it does look like we're chaining the Neo Ultimate to negate that effect to search. But we have the field spell. It was in fact not Temple of the Kings, it was Treasures of the Kings, which we can go ahead and activate, which will allow us to set an Apophis trap. This is pretty huge in combination with... I think we're just discussing there whether or not Treasures is live. I do believe that the cards in Graveyard also count. But we're going to go ahead and chain Majesty to pop. But the Man with the Mark does protect Treasures of the King. Ultimate does not negate a card like Imperm Revealer does. It doesn't negate the whole card. It just negates the effect that was activated. So Man with the Mark's protection is still live. Thus, Treasures of the King can still search Circuit. And Circuit can hit the field by banishing Nibiru from deck and attempt to search. I believe it searches Temple of the King or a card that mentions it. Or it might search an Apophis card. A lot of these cards get into each other, so I do sometimes get a little fuzzy on what exactly searches what. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and attempt Veiler on the Circuit. Interestingly, we do still have the Engraver and the Necroquip on the field. We were able to eat up that Majesty interaction despite it. We do know that that final card set in the back row there is Drill Beam. A little surprised that that has yet to be utilized, to be honest. Because the Man with the Mark does only prevent destruction. Banishing is fine. To my knowledge, I don't think it protects from targeting. But yeah, we've got a lot of juice left to play, at least try to play into this board. I don't know how big we can get in terms of actually beating over these monsters. Carefully considering our next play, because True Light is still live, I don't think that effect has been used. Or maybe it was. Is that how we got Blue Eyes out? Was True Light? That could be the case. So we will link the Engraver and the Necroquip off into Silhouette Rabbit, and we're going to trigger its effect on the field to set. That is going to be met with the Drill Beam. So, of course, Silhouette is banished and negated. We do have 2 Apophis traps in hand that we can set. We have Lacrima for follow-up. And it looks like we're going to go Typhon here. Very solid. We're going to use Typhon's effect to bounce the Neo Ultimate. We just need some way of getting over that Blue Eyes. But we might have to just try to control the game state instead. Unfortunately, we do have the ability to simply swing over the Typhon with our Blue Eyes, which is hardly threatened by the Apophis traps, being that it doesn't have an effect that you're worried about getting negated. All that matters is that it's 100 attack more than the Typhon. Largely, Typhon's Floodgate effect is not even a terrible concern into this strategy. Your Primite cards, your level 1 tuners all still activate. Like I said, Blue Eyes is a vanilla. I'm pretty sure Spirit, the Synchro, has 2,500 attack. I believe its stats are swapped. Regardless, we can go ahead and equip and then Synchro for 9, putting the Neo Ultimate in the grave. Once we out the Typhon, its protection will be live. We're going into Azure Eyes. Now, this is not a piece you normally see. We do, on the side of Blake, see just rereading that card to make sure we understand its effects. It might not be a terrible idea for me to do the same. Now it looks like we're going to go True Light effect to summon. So Azure Eyes does have 2,400 attack, which means it is currently live. Neither player can target dragon monsters you currently control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by card effects the turn that the card was special summoned. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can target a normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. But we do respond to this with the Apophis combination. I do believe this is Swamp Deity, which is the one that will negate a card in Resolution, and it appears that we have chosen to negate True Light. On Resolution of the Chain, we are going to go ahead and activate Roar. This will special summon a vanilla Blue Eyes. And now Maiden is going to trigger Engrave to summon herself. Another Synchro for 9 in this form of, it looks like Lightstorm Dragon, which should be a pop. Is it a pop 3 in this case? Do we have both vanillas in grave? I think we might. This might be a pop 3. Although, I think it only can pop back row. But man protects the Apophis traps anyway. So, kind of a... not really too clutch of a play there. And now we don't have a way to get over that Typhon, do we? Because I believe Lightstorm is 2,700. Azure, as we just saw, is 25. Typhon is still sitting strong at 29. I believe Man with the Mark's protection includes battle. So swinging over the Apophis monsters and or Man with the Mark itself is not going to be an option. Seemed like we went Lordly Load there to summon the Blue Eyes. That way Drill Beam is live. So we're going to Drill Beam, target the Man with the Mark to banish it. And the normal summon of Barrel. This will set another Lordly Load. We added it to hand there, but that should in fact be set. Primite, I believe Ether Barrel only sets. I don't think it has the option to add, so that should be on the field face down, to be clear. Maybe not a huge deal here, but just pointing it out for the viewers at home. If we have trouble with the Typhon, we do have the option of going Seal here with... I mean, we could do any of our dragons, but, you know, possibly Vanilla. Looks like we're going to go Lightstorm and Barrel into Seal, yep. And then on the opponent's turn, of course, we can simply... yeah, now we can out that one. We might have been better off making the Seal after battle phase then, so that way we could also out the other one. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and pass turn. Ooh, we attempt the ignition effect of Treasures of the Kings, but that is met with a Ghost Ogre. Very strong hand trap in this matchup. Really just in general a very strong hand trap right now. Anubis is going to go ahead and shuffle back 2 traps to summon himself. This could be a very good way to force the seals bounce. And then, of course, in main phase 2, you can simply summon Typhon again. Azure Eye's effect is no longer online. If it remains in the field, though, in the standby phase, it will be able to target a normal monster in grave and special summon it. So outing that is possibly going to be critical because that Blue Eyes currently on the field can, of course, be switched to attack position, and then another Blue Eyes can be summoned and put in attack position. A lot of pressure on the board in that situation. We do have the option of maybe like SP taking care of the True Light, which it looks like we are going to do something like that. It might be something else we're after, but I do feel like True Light might be the best thing here. If you don't know that Homeboy is on 2 Drill Beam, then banishing Drill Beam might not be bad because that makes it difficult to recover, maybe even impossible in this deck. But it does look like we're going to try and banish the Drill Beam. Or the True Light, excuse me. We're going to respond with Hieratic Seal. Alright, we don't have a response here, so True Light returned to hand. So SP misses target. Oh, SP must have banished Drill Beam? Interesting. I wonder why we returned True Light to hand instead of SP. But now Blue Eyes Jet Dragon hits the field with 0 attack and 0 defense. However, hardly relevant for Jet. Ooh, we still have the normal summon of Lacrima, don't we? And in fact, we have another Treasures of the Kings, which will allow us to set our Apophis trap on activation. And it does look like we're able to search Man with the Mark in some capacities. The ignition effect of Treasures of the Kings not once per turn, is in fact just once per copy. Let me see if or am I tripping? Was Ogre last turn? We do go ahead and grab Temple with Man, though, which is going to allow us to activate Apophis the Serpent the turn it was set, grabbing us Apophis the Swamp Deity, which also can be activated the turn it was set. It is a soft once per turn to search. You can only activate 1 per turn, but of course the one that was ogred was already activated from a previous turn. And it is a soft once to search. That is quite strong. So we go ahead and summon our Apophis the Swamp Deity, which this should be a negate 2. We do have the option to go rank 4. Or contact fuse into... The glare is killing me, but I know it is the... I think it's the new circuit monster, which on summon is going to go ahead and set those two right back from the grave, so you basically get it for free. It's still the matter of running over these big monsters, and with the Azure Eyes still on the field, the pressure is only going to get stronger. In the next standby phase, another Blue Eyes could hit the field from grave if that Azure Eyes remains, so we do need a way of outing this. I don't know offhand the attack of the new Contact Fuse monster, but apparently it's big enough to run over the Blue Eyes, so at least we have that going on. Looks like, though, that's all we're going to do, and Jet is on the field, and Azure Eyes, in fact, also sticks, which in standby phase will be able to summon Blue Eyes right back, as well as Ether Barrel adding itself. We are considering chaining the SP here, though. That could be really good. Itself and Jet are the targets. Keeping that Jet off the field and out of the graveyard is going to be really nice because its battle trick is obviously so powerful. Regardless, though, we are now looking at an Azure Eyes and a Blue Eyes. We have Ether Barrel in hand. We know there's True Light in hand. Maiden in hand, apparently, to place the True Light. So True Light is now totally free to get us access even further into the Blue Eyes engine. Which we do see that other Blue Eyes right there. Instead, we're going to start off with normal summoning Ether Barrel, and in response to that, we're going to chain Apophis to Swamp Deity, which will, on resolution, negate. And the new Apophis fusion, when a trap card, I believe, is summoned as a monster, or maybe it's just when a trap card is activated, I do forget which, it can target a card in the field and destroy it, which, of course, targeting True Light here is massive, because that is going to destroy every other card on the field. And since Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is banished and not in the grave or hand, it itself will not trigger to summon when a card is destroyed. We're going to go ahead and activate that other Lordly Load. And in response to that, we're going to chain another Apophis, which this will be a negate 2, and it looks like we go with the Lordly Load that was activated and Mausoleum. The Lordly Load that was not activated. We are using the Ignition effect, declaring Blue Eyes to go ahead and summon it. Looks like we're going over what's protected by what here, what's actually got to be overcame in order for this to work out. And I do believe the source of all the protection is Man with the Mark while you control Temple of the Kings. Temple of the Kings itself and Apophis cards cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, I believe is the protection. So we're going to use Roar's effect engrave to go ahead and fusion summon, and we're doing Blue Eyes and Ether Barrel into Tyrant Dragon. Now Tyrant Dragon's pretty good here because of course it can set that Majesty from grave. However, as long as Man with the Mark exists with that protection, it does not mean much. So we simply must out that. Tyrant is able to attack all the monsters, though, so we are looking at potentially dealing a lot of damage. Excuse me. So even though the cards remain on the field, we have successfully gotten Blake down to 3,200 life points. Looking at this board state, SP will not be able to return to the field, although Jet will. I am a little unsure why we put Majesty back in the graveyard. That should have been set from the effect of... Oh, you can't activate the effect of Tyrant because you use Lordly Lode's effect to summon Blue Eyes. After you do that, you cannot activate the effect to special summon monsters on the field. That's right. That's right. So passing turn back to Blake, it looks like we're going to go ahead and grab Anubis with Treasures of the King. And now, of course, resolving SP. SP does not hit the field, but Jet does. We are going to go ahead and turn one of those Apophis traps into a Link Spider and then normal summon Lacrima, who will then, of course, foolish a Fiendsmith card, in this case, Engraver. We can then link one that Lacrima into Requiem. Requiem then will tribute in priority to summon Engraver. Now, Engraver can send, targeting the Tyrant, attempting to send Requiem back to grave. We will trigger Neo Ultimate Engrave to negate that. And we're going to go ahead and link 2 into Sequence. Sequence is going to go ahead and fuse by shuffling material back from the graveyard. We are going to summon, obviously, Desiree. And it looks like we're going to do this with 2 Engravers and a Requiem. So in the graveyard still is a Lacrima and an Engraver. We have plenty of board presence here. It's simply a matter of getting over that sticky Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, which can be so difficult to out. Desiree's sent to grave is going to shuffle back an Engraver to go ahead and get rid of the Tyrant. So that's 1 bogey down. And it looks like we're going to go Apophis the Swamp Deity, summon and negate on summon. We could negate... okay, and then because a trap was activated, we can target to pop the Jet. Right on. So now it's a simple matter of pushing lethal, which we might not need to clear the Agnumde to do. Yeah, I think you have it here because pretty sure all the Apophis traps are around 2,000, at least like 16 to 22. So yeah, definitely a hard-fought win there, but Blake does pull away with it in Game 1. Having those clever ways to take care of the Jet Dragon is absolutely imperative in this sort of matchup, because Jet Dragon, if you don't have a way to out it, can be so annoying to deal with. It is, you know, it is kind of a point of contention amongst the Blue Eyes players whether or not you actually play this card. But the players that do see the payoff. It is flat out annoying. It's difficult to deal with. And when you can't, it kind of just wins the game sometimes, because its effect triggers in damage step, so it's difficult to interact with. It summons when anything is destroyed. Just such a powerful card. And that is the payoff that you're looking for when you add another card to your deck that is not necessarily something that you want to draw in a deck that's already full of cards that you don't want to draw, like, of course, the OG Blue Eyes, True Light. And now you're adding something like Jet Dragon. All right, looks like we took out some nibs. Accidentally put that face up. All good. Now it will be up to Matt on the right, playing Blue Eyes, to decide whether to go first or second. You're playing Blue Eyes and you're up against a trap deck. I'm guessing you're going to take first. And my camera has shifted. Looks like we can still see most of the field, though. Basically just lost view of Blake's graveyard. We are going first on the side of Matt, and we're starting off with Ether Barrel effect to set a Primite card, which we're of course going with Lordly Load. We're going to then activate Lordly Load and probably add Drill Beam. And we do see that Joel and Lockbird here on the side of Blake, so that will be triggered on resolution. And now, what do we do here? Because the Link one will not be able to add the field spell. Wishes is offline. Maiden, if you hard drew it, can still pitch True Light. True Light can then set something like Roar. Roar can then, of course, summon from deck, and you know, you still have some Synchro plays or a Link 2 play, some of that nature online. But that's all very contingent on the cards in your hand. Looks like we do have the ability to reveal Sage and send Ether Barrel, and I believe this sends Blue Eyes White Dragon from deck to grave. Yeah, it doesn't send for cost, but it does discard for cost, and it's gonna, if it's successful, it'll send Ether Barrel to grave and also send Blue Eyes from deck to grave. The little known hidden effect of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Often underutilized, but Matthew, no stranger. Oh, does it special summon? I thought it sent. Sage with Eyes of Blue. Oh, it does in fact special summon one Blue Eyes monster from deck, so even more powerful than suspected. Of course, now we're able to link away into the Seal, and then Primite Lordly Load to summon Blue Eyes in defense position. We do have two back row to set. Obviously, we know one of those is the Drill Beam, and we're going to call it here. So, especially for being under Joel and Lockbird, this is definitely a very oppressive setup. We do draw into Imperm in the case of Blake. I do see Evenly Matched and Fiendsmith's Track there as well. Unsure of the other two cards. Looks like Talent and a monster of some kind, but I cannot make out which one. Evenly Matched is handled, of course, by the Drill Beam, so we could attempt to force the Drill Beam here. Imperm, of course, is going to prevent the Seal's ability to bounce, but we're going to go ahead and trigger Seal instead, bouncing our own Lordly Load back to hand. And we're going to go ahead and special summon from the deck a dragon monster, in this case, Neo Kaiser Seahorse. And now we do have Talent. That was not enough to force the Drill Beam. We go ahead and draw two, which looks like we got into an Apophis Trap and either Temple or Treasures. We're going to go ahead and go Battle Phase and do the Evenly Matched, which will be met with Drill Beam, so we were able to force that interaction. So now it's just the one back row and any interactions from hand that we might be afraid of, but we're going to go ahead and play on main phase 2. We're going to go ahead and pitch Engraver to add. And then we're going to go ahead and simply activate Tract, not met with any interaction. Lurie. Lurie hits the field. Everything's fine. Link 1. So far, so good. Requiem, no Ash Blossom, no Impulse. Well, you couldn't Impulse there, and nor would Blue Eyes play Impulse, but point being there was no interaction. Lacrima, Summon. This is going to Foolish another Engraver. Engraver likely going to go ahead and come right back from the graveyard. This will turn on a potential Chaos Angel or Sequence play. Or, of course, we could Requiem equip to the Lacrima and Contact Fuse into Necroquip to get into a Caesar-type play. Okay, so it was in fact the field spell, Treasures of the Kings. We're going to go ahead and activate it and set directly from our deck an Apophis Trap. And it looks like we have Apophis the Swamp Deity. Now, we do have another set, and because we have two, we can go ahead and trigger Maz, and Mausoleum is going to be met with Ghost Ogre. So we did have an interaction from the hand, just not the ones that interact too well with the Fiendsmith engine. But this does mean that Engraver returning to the field is online. We can go ahead and shuffle back that Lurie. Looks like spell cards in Matt's hand there, so our last interaction should be that face down. Which I'm not recalling whether or not we know what that is. I don't think we do. And we're going to go ahead and link those two away. Likely a Sequence here. Could be a Silhouette Rabbit. It is, in fact, Sequence. Sequence is going to attempt its effect, and that will be met with Imperm. Very patiently held there. Very, very heads up to go ahead and Imperm that Sequence. This actually results in Blake passing turn back. The only thing going for us is that we do, in fact, have that negate. And we have two of them, in fact, because Apophis the Serpent can set the other Swamp Deity. So we do have two negates online. Ether Barrel is going to go ahead and return to hand in the standby phase, and then on normal summon, it will attempt to set a Primite card from deck. Going to go ahead and summon Swamp Deity, negate the Ether Barrel. Drill Beam will set itself. And now we've got 3 dragons to play with, and a Wishes pitching a Solemn Judgment. We're going to go ahead and summon the other Apophis, which will, in this case, be able to negate 2. We're just going to go Wishes and Neo Kaiser Seahorse because why not? Alright, so we did neg on the Wishes. We do, however, get a little bit more value out of it because we are able to use the Graveyard effect to go ahead and equip the Neo Ultimate to the Vanilla Blue Eyes, which will give us the necessary recipe to Contact Fuse into Tyrant Dragon. Looks like that last card in hand is in fact the Lordly Load that we put back in our hand with Seal last turn. This will allow us to add like another barrel or that second Drill Beam. Looks like it is going to be that second Drill Beam. So now we have full Drill Beam rotation. One is live this turn. Or I guess right now it's not live because we have to control a Primite or a Vanilla, right? Or actually, is it even live when you control Ether Barrel? I think it's got to be a level 5 or higher Primite, right? Or you can reveal one in the hand of any level. Instead, though, we link one, grab Field Spell. Field Spell effect is going to Foolish a Blue Eyes. Very good. Now we're going to go ahead and special summon a Blue Eyes with the effect of the link 1. And we're going to put Seahorse into attack position. Tyrant is going to go ahead and attack all of these monsters, including the Sequence. If I'm not mistaken, that Seahorse should be at 0 attack and 0 defense because it was summoned off of Hieratic. We're going to go ahead and reset the Imperm on damage calculation because why not? We're going to go ahead and play attack into the Sequence, dealing 2400, and directly with the Blue Eyes, dealing 3k. Yeah, that unless I missed something, I don't think it left the field and came back, right? Like that. That was the one, in fact, summoned off of Seal, which would give it 0 attack. However, either way, not lethal. And we're going to go ahead and pass it right back. In our opponent's end phase, we're going to go Lacrima effect, shuffling herself back to summon sequence. Now, unfortunately here, we know there's a drill beam to be met with, so we're not exactly in a commanding position. Sequence is going to attempt its effect, met with drill beam. So now it's all up to our graveyard and our hand. Engraver's going to shuffle back a Requiem, try to summon himself. Looks like that's going to succeed. We're going to link one to the Requiem and attempt to special from deck. Lacrima effect to Foolish. Just going to send another Engraver, it looks like, but we will go ahead and imperm that. So the column second from the extra deck is offline. We have Tracked, and I'm not sure I know that monster in hand, but Tracked can go ahead and add and summon Lurie. Or discard Lurie. Lurie can then summon itself. So we are able to go into a Link 2 once again. Something like Rabbit is available. Normal summon Man with the Mark. This could be huge, because that's going to grab Field Spell. We're going to activate Field Spell, and that's going to go ahead and place another Apophis trap. Then we can link into Silo Hat Rabbit, which will set another trap, which would mean... Okay, so I guess we didn't have an Apophis trap to set, but because they were in our grave, we could still add the Anubis. Anubis can pitch to add Man, and then Anubis can put the two traps back into the deck. Okay. We're definitely in a pickle of a game state, truly on both players' side. Matt has the most pressure, being that he has, you know, that Tyrant Dragon on the field. But he doesn't really have anything in terms of interaction. So Blake is able to just play, and if he is able to just out this board, Matt might struggle to come away with a victory on the following turn. We keep considering that Typhon. I think you go Rabbit here. Rabbit can set one of those traps that Anubis put back. Well, you have Anguish Pattern even, but we're going to go ahead and go with Apophis the Serpent. Now we're going to go ahead and make Typhon. Just making sure that that was actually live, which it was. Typhon can return the Tyrant Dragon. However, it cannot beat over the Blue Eyes, so we're going to go ahead and go over the Neo-Kaiser Seahorse. Again, that should actually be at 0 attack, but it looks like, unless we remembered that from last game. Oh, Neo-Kaiser Seahorse, when it's destroyed, I believe it does have that effect to Foolish the Maiden. Or level 1 Light Tuner in general, to be honest. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and draw for turn. And then we're going to go ahead and summon Apophis the Serpent, set the Swamp Deity, and then Silo Hat Rabbit is going to trigger, attempting to pop Lordly Load. That seems to be just fine. In the standby phase, we're going to go ahead and add Barrel back to hand. We do have that Drill Beam in hand, and it is live with Blue Eyes being on the field. We do attack probably over the Man with a Mark for what I assume is game. I seem to recall, yeah, we're at about the 45-minute mark here. This match did result in a draw because of that game 1. And this obviously time was called here. I'm trying to think with that damage from Kaiser Seahorse should have been I mean, you obviously would have had game 2 here, regardless. But yeah, we're pointing out here that Matt did in fact have Jet Dragon in the grave when he went and pushed for all that damage, so he could have actually had game there. And had he remembered to resolve Jet, then we would have actually had a game 3, but unfortunately we didn't. Still, though, a great match. That was awesome to watch. Definitely really great players here, both playing really grindy, control the board type decks. And, even though we kind of got 2 of the same matchup in a row here on camera, I'm always glad to see these kinds of matchups, so I ain't gonna complain about it too much. I really hope you guys also enjoyed watching the footage. I will see you in the next one. Peace.